Yes, welcome in Sportstopia Fantasy Fire and Ice Thursday edition. Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, my man Stu, Monotone Football. Coming up over the course of the next couple of minutes or so, get you ready for Thursday Night Football. Also, start to look at what is going on, get you ready for the upcoming week in the NFL, trying to make you successful fantasy sports players. That's the job of Sportstopia. The website is now live, sportstopia.io. Go over there, Major League Baseball, NFL, basketball. We got you covered. Stu, what's going on, baby? What we doing? I tell you what, the time flies. Welcome to week 4. Look at that.
Yeah, no, I mean, as you can see from my background right now, my Commanders lost. You know, the poster had to sell the house. We're in a warehouse now. So a little bit of a rough week for me. Obviously, you can see week 3 kind of, dealt its toll on me. But, hey, we got to bounce back right here. We got a great slate. We got a great game tonight, right? I mean, a divisional rivalry on Thursday Night Football. How many competitive primetime games have we had over the last couple of years? It's not been too many. So super pumped to be here. And, yeah, hopefully we make some money back. I can get some new signs for the background, and we'll be ready to go next Thursday.
Yeah, I immediately noticed that the Commanders was not there. I thought that could have been disdain. I thought you threw in the towel already after that 37-3 beatdown that took place last week. And let me tell you something. Early in the week, Stu, right, I seen Washington at home plus 6.5, and I said, oh, my God, I love this. And then Sunday morning, I'm watching the program, and they was like, the most bet on team of the week is the Washington Commanders at plus 6. And I was like, oh, boy. As soon as I heard they were the most bet team, I was like, this is going to be a long Sunday. Let me see if I can start getting out of this now. And obviously, the Buffalo Bills went ahead and made you take that poster down.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that was a rough one. Like you said, it started 6.5, ended at 5. Anytime you see that kind of movement on an unproven team like the Commanders, right? I mean, we really hadn't. I mean, that Broncos win looks a lot less impressive a week after, right? I mean, suddenly, it looks like you came back against a great defense, and now, you're just the team that won by 35, not 70.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Good way to put it right there. All right, so tonight action. You see that QR code that just popped up on the screen, everybody? That right there will take you to our Contrarian Edge Optimizer. Contrarian is the key word there because you don't want your optimizer to be like everybody else's, then everybody tie for 125 people tying for first place. No. This Contrarian Edge Optimizer right here is the way to go. Hit that QR code. That'll take you to a 7-day test drive. You pay $1, but go ahead and just sign up for the whole thing right now and let it help you win throughout the course of this NFL season. Green Bay Packers at home facing the Detroit Lions. Lions laying 1.5. Coaching matchup, Dan Campbell and LaFleur. The last 4 times these teams have met, Dan Campbell has been the victorious one. 3-1 the Lions are in their last 4 games on the money line versus the Lions are versus the Green Bay Packers. That's where we stand right now. Green Bay currently laying 1.5. It looks like Christian Watson and Aaron Jones will be making their debut for the Packers tonight. Let me start off by asking you, how do you feel about Jordan Love so far this season? I think the numbers have been there. As a matter of fact, I got an underdog best ball team that's doing pretty well right now, and Jordan Love has actually been the quarterback. It's like the numbers are there, but the numbers aren't there. What are we looking at with Jordan Love early in the season?
Yeah, I think he's established himself as a pretty solid quarterback already. I mean, at this point in his career, we could have seen a lot worse, right? I mean, from what we've seen in the past, kind of unproven, there were a lot of different ranges of outcomes that a guy like Jordan Love could have. But I've been impressed. I think he's making a lot of good downfield throws. To me, he looks like a good decision maker. And I think that's the number one thing you kind of got to kind of test with these young quarterbacks is, can they make decisions at an NFL speed? Is the game too fast for them, or is the game, right at pace? And to me, he looks very comfortable out there. He looks like he knows how to command an offense pretty well. But at the end of the day, I do still think things might get a little bit interesting in this one, because what I've seen from Jordan Love, he is the highest QB ADOT of any quarterback in the league, which means despite the fact that this offense isn't putting up insane numbers, he is consistently throwing the ball down the field. He's trying to make things happen, and that can get real interesting in a close divisional game against a team with some sticky fingers on the other side. So I think we could see some interceptions in this one. I think we could see a decent amount of offense, but I think overall Jordan Love has a good game.
Let me ask you this. We haven't seen them we've seen them in one game with Aaron Jones. Have not seen them hook up with Christian Watson yet. Jones and Watson both expected to play tonight. Do you think that helps the offense out with Jones and Watson being back on the field, and maybe we can see a little bit different Jordan Love?
Yeah, I think Jones is huge. Obviously, having that check down, right? Having that dependable safety blanket near the line of scrimmage is huge. Aaron Jones has obviously proven that he's a great running back, both in the rushing game and in the receiving game over these last couple of years. And hey, AJ Dillon, if you look at his rush yards over expectation, they've been in the negative in back-to-back.
He's horrible, bro.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh my God, who's worse, him or Josh Kelly?
Oh, well, as someone that played Josh Kelly in all my lineups last week, it's definitely him, because that was a terrible decision. That's why I got no artwork behind me right now. So yeah, I would say, Josh Kelly's worse. But A.J. Dillon, yeah, it's going to be good that he's back to 4 or 5 carries, not, 14, 15.
Because he cannot get it done with that number. The Lions run the ball all right. You know that, right? I mean, the Lions are all right in stopping the run.
Yeah. No, against every team so far. I mean, Bijan Robinson, arguably, that's one of the scariest rush attacks in all the league, right? Yeah. And they held him to under 40 yards last week. So I think that's probably the most impressive part of the defense. No, 100%.
Yeah, they have been doing a good job shutting down that run. That's a problem. That's something that they struggled with last year. Looks like they had that corrected going into the season. Maybe they could send somebody down there to Dallas and teach them how to stop the run. With that being said, Jared Goff, quarterback for the Detroit Lions, the knock against him when he goes on the road, those dome numbers, those indoor numbers tend to disappear and go away. And you see Jared Goff from the Rams, Jared Goff. Is there something to that, or is that just matchup based, or do you think it's really something to Jared Goff on the road?
I think there's something to it. I think it's very clear he's more comfortable in the weather-controlled games when everything's nice, But that being said, it's not winter time yet, right? It's not like we're asking Jared Goff to go out and throw in, 10-degree weather with wind going crazy.
The frozen tundras of Lambeau Field.
Exactly. This is still fall, pretty much summer in half the country right now. Like, I'm not too worried about Jared Goff at this point in the season, especially when over his last 12 divisional games, he's 10-2, whether he's on the road or at home, right? So he's covering spreads, no matter whether he's at domes or outside. For me, I get a little bit worried when it gets winter time and he starts, having to throw the ball in the snow. That's when it gets a little scary.
If we were drafting talent from tonight's game, who would be the first pick? Would it be a Watson? Would it be a Musgrave? Would it be Aaron Jones? Would it be St. Brown? Who would you take first if we were drafting talent from tonight's game?
That's a close one. I think for me, probably Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think when he's healthy, he's proven he can win at multiple levels on the outside. But Aaron Jones is a pretty close second out of that backfield. I love a running back that can hurt you in the rush game and the receiving game. That's not something every team has.
They're probably going to be pretty chalky plays tonight. St. Brown and Jones as well. Maybe you go to A.J. Dillon.
I don't know about that one. You guys can have fun with that. I'm going to pass, but
yeah, definitely. I agree with you on that one. The Lions running game so far this season, man, a lot of expectations for Gibbs, but it didn't really happen yet.
Yeah, and it's weird. We thought he'd be catching 5 passes a game, and that just hasn't been the case. And last week we see no David Montgomery. You think, okay, this is now the time where he starts getting involved in creative ways. We throw him the ball a little bit more. He runs some routes out the slot. But nope, it was just run right up the middle. It was do what David Montgomery normally does. And to be honest, I don't think that's a great strategy when you have a rookie running back that you drafted at, 12 overall or whatever. You got to use him in creative ways. You got to get him involved. They haven't really done that yet. It looks like David Montgomery is going to suit up today. He has the clear advantage in the red zone. I know we call it the Contrarian edge optimizer for a reason. I think I'm going to be playing a lot of David Montgomery, while I think a lot of the field is going to go to the talents that they are in love with in, Gibbs.
I like that. David Montgomery for a nice comeback. Probably be a player that's not going to be very heavily owned. So David Montgomery is an interesting one right there. When you look at the BetMGM Sportsbook Insights, right, I want to talk about some of the props that are getting hit. Sam Laporta as a first touchdown scorer at 15-1. Pretty popular bet on this one. I love Laporta. If he's on my team, unless it's like Travis Kelce, really just Travis Kelce, I'm putting Sam Laporta in the starting lineup. You know what I'm saying? So as a first-time touchdown scorer, I don't know. 15-1 is juicy odds. Is worth a shot. But what do you think about Laporta going into tonight? I think Laporta has been fantastic so far this season.
Yeah, he's been money. I mean, Iowa just keeps on producing these grade A NFL tight ends, and he looks like the next one of them. I completely agree. I mean, when you look at the weapons on this team, right, just think about it logically for a second. Besides Amon-Ra St. Brown, we're rolling with Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond as your other targets. Also, Marvin Jones is still apparently on the
MJJ, Marvin Jones Jr.
So, right, when you look
Still
at
fooling him.
yeah, that kind of talent around him, right? It's kind of clear why Laporta has risen so fast, right? He's talented, he's making plays, and this team needs that, right? They need playmakers on offense, they need a wide receiver too. And since they don't really have that, he's kind of stepped up as this target, right? He's not even just catching checkdowns. He caught like a 35-yard deep ball last week on play action. So I'm a fan of Laporta. I definitely will be playing him tonight.
How much? Who will you have if you do 10 lineups, right? How much Laporta? How much Musgrave?
Yeah, well, that I guess that's my hot take of the day. I'll go like 7 Laporta. I'll be very invested in Laporta, and I'll probably have 1 or 2 Musgrave. I think my stand today will be avoiding the super chalk in the Musgrave at tight end, right? I know he's popular. I know we like the young guy right now, but to me, I see an offense that just got their 2 favorite pieces back, right? We just got Christian Watson back. We just got Aaron Jones back. To me, I don't see how Musgrave continues the same air yardage share that he's had these last 2 weeks when we have 2 grade A targets back in the lineup. And also, Musgrave's had some nice plays. He doesn't look like the most comfortable pass catcher in the world. I don't know if you've noticed that. He kind of bobbles a lot of them, a lot of body catches. Like, I don't know if the talent is necessarily on the same level as Laporta either. So I think that makes it very easy for me to kind of fade a chalky, popular tight end today.
Back to bet MG Insights. Amon-Ra St. Brown, anytime touchdown score at plus 115 is a little bit too low for me. Luke Musgrave, as you mentioned, over 37.5 receiving yards. That's coming in at minus 115. 99% of the money on the over is probably a good idea to fade that.
Yeah, you know how those bets go. Anytime the whole world is on the same side, that's not normally the side you want to be on.
Sam Laporta over 43.5 receiving yards, also seeing a lot of money. Romeo Doubs over 3.5 receptions. That's at plus 120. What do you think about Romeo going into the game?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I'd always rather take yards than receptions for him, right? He's a deep ball kind of guy. He doesn't really create much separation. He's more of a contested catch wide receiver. To me, when I bet receptions, I want a guy that you're going to get on a quick screen pass. You want to get him involved early and often. Dobbs profiles more as a deep target, a downfield kind of guy. And for that reason, I'd rather play like a yards than a receptions. But who knows how involved Christian Watson is going to be? That's kind of the mystery of the night.
We got Neek in the chat. Neek, throw that up there on the screen for me if you can, right quick. Keith. Neek goes, hey, boss man, just wondering, would you trade Fields and ETN for Kamara and Burrow? So you're looking at if somebody's willing to buy Justin Fields, but then again, the Russian fantasy is different, so I understand that. But this, to me, Stu, this is a wash. It's like, yeah, you get Burrow back, but he's banged up. This is I would like, so to me, I would, if I got Fields and ETN and you got Burrow and Kamara, I'm like, it's the same, right?
Yeah, I actually agree. I mean, I'm trying to get rid of Fields if you can. This doesn't look like the right spot, right? Because you're trading for an injured Burrow, right? A guy that's kind of limited on his mobility. He's not 100%. I like Kamara, obviously, but that is kind of a downgrade. ETN has an awesome workload right now on a good offense. So for me, I agree with you. I think it's very even. I would be looking to upgrade at QB a little bit more because people still, even with all the hate Justin Fields is getting, people still understand the rushing, the fantasy upside, all that stuff. So in my mind, I think you can get a slightly better quarterback target than Joe Burrow, who's injured right now.
Yeah, I would try to definitely. And trust me, I'm heavily invested in Joe Burrow this season. Neek, hit that subscribe button for us. Give us a like. You know what I'm saying? Same thing goes for you, Mo Diesel. Mo Diesel, 12 half point PPR, 12-man league. Should I trade Hollywood, Puka? These trades get so out of control of me. Hollywood is a 3-team deal. I mean, how many players in this? Hollywood, Puka, and Monty for Gibbs. I have Josh Allen, Walker. You already have Allen, okay. Walker, my guess is Ken Walker, Joe Mixon, Diggs, Cooper Kupp. Listen, just because there's rumors out there that Kupp is coming back, I think I would not be so quick to get rid of and move Puka. And if you are, I would definitely try to sell high as possible with the player. But I think Cooper Kupp is another stint on the IR ready to happen. Trade Hollywood, Puka, Montgomery for Gibbs. All of that for one player, I don't see it.
No, I definitely would not do that. I would not do that. No, you're trading 2 good wide receivers and a good running back for another good running back. Like, for this kind of trade, you need to be having a major upgrade at a position. And to be completely honest, even if you took the 2 wide receivers out and just put Montgomery against Gibbs, I would still bet Montgomery outscores Gibbs in more weeks for the rest of the year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm on an island right there. But even if you took the 2 good wide receivers out of the equation and just focused on the running backs, I don't even think you're getting that much of an upgrade. So for me, this would be a definite pass. I would not be looking to do that.
Mo Diesel has Mixon, Diggs, Kupp, Quentin, who hasn't done anything yet.
Yep.
Dalvin cooked. Tank Bigsby, Josh Kelly, and Josh Reynolds. It's going to be a long season, Mo Diesel. We got to try to get this team right, but that trade right there is probably not going to be the way to do it. All right, let me get a quick look at the Contrarian Edge Optimizer for tonight's contest. Generate some lineups over here. Jaden Reed in the captain position, followed by Jordan Love, Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave. Your thoughts on that blended optimizer look right there?
Yeah, I really like the lineup. The only thing, like I said, I'm trying to get away Musgrave, so I would probably substitute him for someone else just because I think he's going to be kind of popular. But the rest of that lineup, I like my Michigan State guys, right? Reed is talented. I think he's going to be able to go back to his more natural position now that Watson is on the outside. And they were using him in some fun ways. He was getting reverse sweeps. They were getting him involved in the running game a little bit. So Reed is one of the more interesting kind of contrarian captain options that I will definitely be playing along with the optimizer.
Let's go. Jaden Reed, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff, Musgrave, and Khalif Raymond. There goes Musgrave again.
Yeah, well, even you and me, we've talked about Khalif Raymond like 4 times on the show.
Done. I put him in a lineup last week. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. You took the words out of my mouth. Like, we got to ban this guy. We literally talk about him somehow every week, and the guy hasn't done anything. He's running routes out there. He gets a catch or 2, but yeah, he's staying out of my lineup this week.
Michigan State, you know, they got that transfer at Florida State, Keon Coleman. Yeah, he's been fantastic this year. You should be seeing him playing on Sunday soon. You was mentioning the Michigan State Sparty. All right, Jordan Love, Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, Samori Toure, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Tell the people who Samori Toure is.
Yeah, he's a guy I'm not going to be playing tonight. That's for sure. Yeah,
there you go.
I don't.
It's really contrarian. You see, we told you.
Yeah.
It's a dude right here I ain't never heard of before.
Yeah, he's going to be like that random white guy that had the weird 50-yard kick return touchdown on the weekend where it like bounced off another guy. That's the only way this guy's scoring this week.
All right, and then final one to take a look at right here: David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, and Jaden Reed. And then they give you, how about these final 2? AJ Dillon and Khalif Raymond. So you have 2 zeros.
I was going to say, I was really liking it before you got to that point in the lineup. But actually, out of all the ones you've read, if you're really trying to get different, if you're trying to get weird, that ones can make you some money. Because we know, even if AJ Dillon runs 5 times for 5 yards, once they get into the red zone, if they're on the 1-yard line, he's getting the ball, right? He's the bruiser. He's the kind of the physical running back. So if you want to get crazy, if you want to get different from the field, I don't really mind that at all.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? So there goes a couple of thoughts on tonight's game. You know, I think the game will be won. I think the Lions win a close, fun game, but I think the Lions have just enough to hold out in the end. I would lay the 1.5, but the money line is probably the play. What do you think about the game?
Yeah, we're kind of similar. At the beginning of the week, I really liked the Lions. Like, I was kind of convinced that they're the way better team in this matchup. But as we've seen the injury report kind of settle out, it looks like Green Bay is getting some of their guys back. I wasn't super impressed with Green Bay's win last week. Obviously, if you just look at the box score, you think, oh, this was an amazing comeback. But it was against a backup quarterback with one of, arguably, in my opinion, one of the worst coaches in the league, who just couldn't get that offense into a momentum and kind of sold the game away. I almost blame the Saints more than the Packers getting the win. So for me, I like the Lions in this one. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a competitive game. But overall, I'm going to take the team that is better in the trenches. And for me, that's the Lions.
All right. Coming up, let's get a couple quick thoughts for this week coming up. You know what I'm saying? You out there in the chat, you got some season-long questions, please pop them in there. Only thing we ask you to do is hit that subscribe, hit that like, and download that Contrarian Edge Optimizer. Thank you very much for your support. How do we feel about the Raiders this week?
I mean, I'm going to keep playing two guys on their team, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. Anyone else in that team, you can just pass, right? For me,
so you're out on Josh Jacobs.
I mean, until he can prove something to me, right? I mean, because right now, right, it's not even really fair to get super mad at Josh Jacobs when the guy's being, on average, tackled behind the line of scrimmage, right? This is a guy that has the worst protection, at least it's him and Najee Harris, kind of neck and neck right now, but has some of the worst protection in the league. It's kind of hard to blame him, right? But for me, for DFS purposes, if that line is going to keep sucking, then yeah, I'm not going to play Josh Jacobs until he can finally get a little bit better spacing there. So it's Myers and it's Adams, and that's it.
Going up against that Charger defense this weekend, and obviously listen. You know who the highest dude in one of my high stakes league last night, Fab Wise, and it spent a little bit too much money. Was Josh Palmer at like $400 and something for Josh Palmer. Obviously, Mike Williams tears his ACL. I'm about to say condolences, but I hope you feel better, Mike. But when you look at, like, everybody's like, oh, Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer. I'm like, oh, it's Josh Palmer. You know what I'm saying? It's Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer making any of your DFS rotations this week?
Yeah, Josh Palmer will. I mean, it's mostly because when I go on the internet, I feel like I'm seeing like a different game than other people are, where everyone in the world is telling me that Quentin Johnson is just going to come in and be Mike Williams. But I mean, we're 3 weeks through the season.
That hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. And it's not even that. It's like there's been no interest in even trying that yet, right? He's not even running any of the same kind of routes, even when he's out there. So for me, people are all going, oh, we know Josh Palmer isn't great. Sure, but he's out there playing ahead of the guy that you like, right? With these coaches intensely watching these guys throughout all of camp. It's not like the Chargers don't want to play with the guy that they drafted in the first round, right? There that they spent a super high draft pick on. So for me, I like Palmer this week. I'm not the biggest fan of his talent. It's not that. I don't think this guy's like a great wide receiver or anything like that. It's opportunity. It's Justin Herbert. It's Kellen Moore. This is a good offense going against a bad defense. I'll take the wide receiver too any day.
Yep, no doubt. I would agree with you on that one. Definitely we'll see some action right there. Another team that we like to pick on when it comes to stacking up or getting some players for the DFS purposes is the Minnesota Vikings. This week they are on the road. They're down here, not too far from where I'm at. They're going to take on the Carolina Panthers. Here's the problem, right? So you want to get some options. You want to get some people in your lineup and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if you believe in the revenge game narrative, but Thielan is the best, the guy in the passing game. But I want to do it. I'm going to do you a big solid. I'm making you the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. You've already traded to get the first pick of the draft. Who are you taking first?
Yeah, CJ Stroud probably.
There you go.
Yeah.
It seems like that's consensus now.
Yeah, and also, just to be clear, the decision is between him and Anthony Richardson, not between him and Bryce Young, right? I mean,
I'm still a Bryce Young guy. I just think Frank Wright is a buffoon, but you really, Stroud and Richardson are off to a much better start.
Yeah, I mean, Young, the problem is just from what I've seen, he's not throwing the ball down the field, and I don't think he has any time to, right? That offensive line was awful in the preseason, right? Going against third-string guys. Their starting offensive line was getting cooked in the preseason. That's like a pretty good – right, yeah, that's a pretty good sign that they're not going to be able to protect their quarterback in the regular season, and that's been the case. He's had no time in the world. If you want to win more games, I would send out Andy Dalton, right? He just came down, check down, got the ball moving last week. Bryce Young looks a little bit more uncomfortable. The pressure's getting to him. I believe he led the league in throwaways for the first 2 weeks when he played. He was just instantly throwing it out of bounds. The pressure was getting to him. So I can't really trust too many Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young back under center this week.
Yeah. So really, DFS, no Miles Sanders, no Adam Thielen in the revenge game. You a revenge game guy?
I don't mind the revenge game, but when the whole world is going to play a guy that I don't think is even that good, then I'm not going to go out of my way to play him, especially now that we have a quarterback downgrade. I mean, if it was Dalton, once again, Dalton locked in on him last week and was just like, I'm just going to throw it to you 10 times. If we had that again, I wouldn't hate it as much. But now that the quarterback situation has shifted a little bit, and now that we're going to see a popular Adam Thielen, right? I mean, there's a reason he's not on the Vikings anymore, right? He was not good last year. So I'm not too worried about it. I'll be perfectly fine laying off a lot of these Panthers.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you on that. Yeah, I don't see it. Maybe a Miles Sanders here or there, but nothing I'm really to get too excited about. That offense has been not good, to say the least. Another team that we like to pick on offensively is the Tennessee Titans. Deshaun Watson looked like retro Deshaun Watson last week, lighting up that Titans defense. I think he was 33 or 28, 33, something crazy like that. They come back this week, that same team, and can another quarterback get healthy against the Titans? It's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and that crew. Hey, Stu, I need it. I need Chase and Burrow and these guys to start doing what they were drafted to do, or what you're putting them in your DFS lineups to do.
Yeah, this week, I don't know if I'm going to be playing Burrow specifically, but I think Chase and Tyler Boyd are two guys I'm going to be going to. What we saw last week was pretty clear, right? Burrow is not at 100% right now. He can't really sustain pressure as well in the pocket due to his loss of mobility and his kind of inability to switch pressure, right? He can't really switch his feet as well as he has been able to in before, which overall just means he's going to have to check the ball down a lot more. And we saw Jamar Chase, he had 7 catches, 10 yards or less last week, right? And that was before Yak. That's just air yards. So they were getting him the ball quickly, letting Jamar Chase make plays. Same thing with Tyler Boyd, the classic slot receiver, always dependable over the middle, good hands. Those are the two guys that I think get the job done. Because if there's one thing we know, you can't run on the tight ends, right? You just can't. Their run defense is really good and their pass defense is really bad. So why would you ever game plan to go in and give Joe Mixon 20 touches? It's just not going to happen. They're going to throw, and I think Chase and Boyd are the clear beneficiaries of that this week.
Here's something interesting. This line just flipped, actually. The Rams are now a 1-point favorite over the Indianapolis Colts this week. That's interesting. I think the Colts are going to win this game, to be 100% honest with you. Total still sitting at 46.5. You can get a little bit of success against the Colts and really against the Rams. What do you think about this game right here, Colts and Rams?
Well, do we know Richardson's playing? Do you think
I know. Didn't he practice yesterday?
Yeah, he did. So, I mean, he's still in concussion protocol. I guess he might have cleared it now. I guess he might be good. But whenever I see a line move, I always think, is the quarterback out? What's going on here? But to me, the real question is, can this offensive line handle it, right? Can the Rams offensive line handle it? Because Matthew Stafford's been good this year, but last game, he had absolutely no time to throw. He was just getting killed and killed and killed. And I mean, to be honest, this Colts defensive line is good. Buckner is very good in the middle, good at getting pressure, stopping the run. So for me, I think the Colts are very live. I chose the Colts as an outright upset last week on my show. Got that one right.
Nice job.
I've been riding them a lot this year. I like this new Shane Steichen offense. I think we can see from the Philadelphia side what they're missing out on. And I think we already see on the Colts side, the creativity is doing a lot of good for him. So for me, I think the Colts are very live here. I think this is going to be a close game. I hope Richardson plays. And if he does, then I think I'm going to be playing both of these teams in DFS this week plenty.
Richardson or Burrow? Season long.
It's got to be Richardson. I think it's got to be Richardson. I mean, that rushing ability, even though I think he's going to dial it back. He already got injured in his second week. I don't think there's any possible way.
In the first week too, right?
Oh, yeah. And the first
too,
week.
Right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So for me, but at the end of the day, it's the goal line. He is the goal line running back on that team. 100%, right? I mean, like I've said in every article I've done, he looks like Cam Newton at the goal line. And Cam Newton has the highest red zone, conversion percentage of all time at 60%. You want these big mobile quarterbacks. Josh Allen's right behind him at 55%. That is a high percentage play. He's the RB1 in the red zone, and no other quarterback can beat that, right? That's Jalen Hurts is the only guy in the same tier. So,
yeah, I was going to throw some more names out at you. Geno Smith has a good matchup this weekend. You would start him over Geno?
I would. I'd start him over Geno.
I think he's going to be my starting quarterback on the leagues where I got him. If he's healthy this week, he's coming off the bench. He's going in the lineup, and I think it's going to remain that way for a couple of weeks. At least I hope that is the case right there. Let me see who else. Baltimore and Cleveland this week. I think this is an interesting one right here. The Cleveland's got a couple of victories over the last couple of years over the Ravens, but they beat Ty Huntley. When Lamar plays, Lamar has pretty much beat the Cleveland Browns. I think this game is going to come down to quarterback play, and I think Lamar Jackson is going to do one of those Lamar Jackson take over the game things and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson rush yards is going to be one of my favorite bets this week, not only because obviously we know he's a great runner in general, but because this Cleveland defense is going to force him out the pocket. He's going to have to make plays, right? We saw Ryan Tannehill last week got sacked 3.5 times alone by Myles Garrett himself, right?
He's horrible.
Yeah, he's horrible. But one thing he has going is he can't move, right? He's a statue. We know Lamar Jackson, when he feels the pressure, he's going to get out the pocket and he's going to have to make plays himself. And guess what? That's great for fantasy points. That is all you're asking for in these DFS and fantasy formats. So for me, this is going to be, in my opinion, a bit of a low-scoring game overall. I respect the Cleveland defense a lot. I think they're a top 3 unit in the league already, and I think they might end the season as in competition, at least for the best defense in the league. But we also got to remember they haven't played the toughest schedule in the world. Their toughest opponent was Joe Burrow, who was injured and playing in the rain so far. So it'll be interesting how they handle Lamar Jackson now, who's obviously a top-tier quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's going to be a fun game. I'll take Baltimore to win the game. I'll take the 2 with Baltimore and sprinkle the money line. My man, Nicholas Hartley. Nick, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. That's the only thing we ask you to do. Download that optimizer as well. Here's the team. Mahomes, Pollard, Karen Williams, Corinne Williams, Jerome Ford, Alexander Madison, Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Chris Godwin, Johnston, I guess, is from the Chargers. Would you trade Madison and Jeudy for Amari? Yes, I would do that.
I would too. The only thing is, I would try to wait until next week because Jerry Jeudy's about to have an awesome game against the worst defense in the league. To me, it almost feels like you're selling a little low when you could almost get a better return. But just when I look at the players, clearly Madison, Jeudy, yes, I would trade them for Amari. I just think Judy's going to have a great week this week, and you might even be able to sell a little bit higher next week.
And then the thing like I said, I told last week I was mentioning, be careful trading away your running backs because you think you got running back depth, and then the next week you don't. But this guy actually does have running back depth, Nick, with Pollard, Williams, Ford, Madison. This is a 10-team league. Pacheco, Hunt, you got all the running backs. So yeah. And then Madison is like a player that I'm not really too focused on, worried about, if you know what I'm saying. Is the Bears offense going to get it rolling this week?
I hope so. Just for entertainment value, I hope so. I think I'm actually going to see him play against the Commanders on primetime next week as well. And I want Fields to be good, for the sake of football, in general, as a fan of the game. I want to see him be good because he was exciting as hell last year. But
he was.
For me this week, I think it's hard not to, right? You just saw this defense put up 70 points, but is he going to look good? Is he going to look amazing? Probably not. I think this is just going to be an ugly game where both teams kind of suck and we see a lot of offense because of it. But I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to play Bears, even though I think there'll be some offense. I don't know. Maybe I have PTSD. I just can't really.
Would you go out your ways to play Broncos this week?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, especially Jeudy on the outside and Sutton on the outside are two guys that are very interesting. I feel like the whole world is in love with Marvin Mims, and it's fair. He's been good in his limited, snaps so far. But I think a lot of people are going to play Marvin Mims this week, and I'm fine with missing out on that trade, right? I'm fine with fading a guy that's playing 25% of snaps just because everyone's model says he's one of the best players in the world, right? I think it's one of those things where you get a little bit of natural leverage if you play a guy like Cortland Sutton, who is a little bit less popular, but I trust on the outside.
Some of the obviously Christian McCaffrey is a go. Obviously, it doesn't make a difference really what the matchup is. What about Devon Achane? You think you can go back to him?
I'm not. I mean, the guy is fast, and we know this team loves speed, right? That is the goal right there. They want as much speed as possible. They lead the league, and they have all top 5 fastest ball carriers of the season, right? Achane, I think, is number 4, Mostert's number 2, and Tyreek is 1 and 3. It's insane. This team loves speed. The question is, how can you reliably get fantasy points from that? I don't know if the path is there. How much in a real game, right? Not a game where they're up 50 points, not a game where you're crushing the opponent. How many times is Devon Achane going to touch the ball? He was a healthy scratch in week 1. For me, I'm thinking 5 to 7 touches. Maybe he gets a little bit more involved later on in the season. But at this point in the year, it's a little bit too early. I'm not going to be playing any Achane in fantasy or DFS this week.
What about who's I think is interesting guy to talk about? I just had the name on the tip of my tongue and I lost it just there. Michael Pittman. We discussed that game already, but I love Michael Pittman so far this season.
I do too, man. I've been betting on him back-to-back weeks. They dropped 4.5 receptions, which is disrespectful to Michael Pittman. Now it's 5.5. They caught up a little bit, bumped it up. I still like it there. I like the connection he's had with both quarterbacks. And the number one I think I like, especially if you're in a PPR league, is he's getting all these targets close to the line of scrimmage. Like when they don't know what to do, they're like, let's just get a 5-yard out route for Michael Pittman. Like that is their default right now. Just get your star players the ball. I'm fond of that philosophy in general. I think that's a good way to look at the game. And I think Pittman continues to have a great year. I'm a big fan. I'm all aboard.
I'm glad I got him in a couple of leagues, and he's actually helped me win some money so far this year. So shout out to my man Pittman getting it done. Who else was like? Oh, where are you at? So CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. These are dudes that need to be in lineups on Sundays, correct?
Yeah, 100%. They've proven it, right? No matter what the game script is, we saw them down. Now we've seen them up. We've seen what they want to do when they're winning, right? And it's continue to trust their quarterback and continue to pass the ball. That is like the number one sign of confidence you can give a young quarterback is trusting him with the ball in his hand. Some teams don't even trust their third-year quarterback with that. I'm talking to you, Desmond Ridder, right? They don't even trust him to throw the ball. So, yeah, I'm all aboard.
Yeah, that was horrible last week from Desmond Ridder. All right, I ran a couple of optimizers. Want to get your thoughts on this is DraftKings main slate. Justin Herbert, Tony Pollard, Karen Williams, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, Josh Palmer, Pat Freiermuth, Miles Sanders, Cleveland Browns defense.
It has good correlation right there. Obviously, it has the Chargers got going. For me, like I said, I think it's a strong lineup overall. Freiermuth isn't my favorite tight end in the world. Maybe I'm biased because I don't like that Pittsburgh offense at all. But I don't know if that's a name I ever end up clicking on, whether the projections like him, whether they don't. He's kind of a guy I generally avoid. But I like the correlation. I like the Chargers stack in that one.
All right, this is one right here. I can tell you by the first name. I will not be playing. Deshaun Watson, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Chris Godwin, Rondell Moore, Freiermuth again, Cade Otton, and the Ravens defense. I do not like this lineup. I like Tyreek Hill, but I don't like anything else.
Well, they went the double tight end to get Tyreek Hill, right? Which is a little bit risky unless you absolutely love the tight ends, right? And I don't really do double tight end that much, so I'm kind of with you. The Ravens defense has been surprisingly good. They're top 5 in both offensive and defensive EPA so far this year, and that's with some injuries. So I think that Baltimore defense is a little bit underrated. I'm not really going out of my way to play Deshaun Watson either.
I like this one right here. Matthew Stafford, James Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Tutu Atwell, Amari Cooper, Tank Dell, Logan Thomas, Chris Olave, Commanders defense.
Ooh, you're gonna have to screenshot that and send it to me. I'm locking that in the Millie Maker right now. I love that lineup. Logan Thomas is one of my favorite low-value targets this week. He's coming back from injury. Sam Howell gets sacked about 4,000 times. His only option is to check the ball down to his tight end. He loves him. So I love that look right there.
For you.
Ooh, this is a good. I just talked about Chris Olave for like 30 minutes yesterday, so I'm a little bit biased as well.
I'm a Chris Olave supporter.
Oh, yeah. I truly do think he's one of the best young wide receivers in the league. And I know people are going to see Jameis Winston. They're going to see all this stuff and go away. You have a chance to get a deep ball wide receiver with Jameis Winston.
Let me tell you something.
0 ownership this week. No one's going to care about him. I love Olave. I love that lineup this week. I'm in.
If it's one thing that Jameis Winston is going to do is he's going to throw the football, and he's going to throw the football down the field. So Jameis Winston is great for fantasy. Final one right here. Not going to play this. Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, James Cook, Puka Nacua, Keenan Allen, Josh Downs, Chigga Conquo. Is that Jamal? No, Javonte Williams and the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
Yeah, I don't mind that one either, to be honest.
Nice.
I think Russell Wilson is a solid play at quarterback. I know it's ugly.
Against the Bears, yeah, you're right. Hold your nose play, yeah.
Yeah, so, even honestly, when you were going through quarterbacks earlier, I was kind of worried you were going to ask me about Russell Wilson because I'd play Russell Wilson over a lot of guys this week, like a lot of good quarterbacks. So for me, I like that lineup. I've talked about Tutu was in the last one. He's my favorite target. I always love playing him, but I love Puka as well. I think this Rams offense is going to go a little underrated. We already did talk about that game, but I think that's a good game to target on both sides. So I love this lineup as well. I think that's a good spot.
Let me ask you, you mentioned Andy Dalton. If he starts this week, would you play him?
that's one of those Sunday morning at like 11.
It's an actually Sunday morning. Yeah, this is my last lineup.
Where you're like, you know what? Andy Dalton could have a good week. But not right now. I don't know if I could. I see the vision though. I see the check downs, the passing touchdowns, but that's a tough one. You save a lot of money though.
No, you will save a lot of money, but and the team saved a lot of money as well. It's my man, Monotone Football. Monotone Football, my man Stu. It's Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Thanks for everybody popping in there with your comments and your questions in the chat. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. That Contrarian Edge Optimizer is there to be your friend and make you good money. For my man Stu, it's Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, Sportstopia, Fantasy Fire and Ice. We'll see you tomorrow.